Hey, what's up, y'all? This is MVP. Welcome to Juxtaposed. Today, we're going to talk about the social norms of social media. Sounds like a tongue twister to me. But what is expected, right? When it comes to family, when it comes to friends, just what's the etiquette? What's the behavior? We're going to talk about it today. Stay tuned.
All right, that was fire. All right, let's roll.
Yo, so what's up, K Styles?
What up?
Man, so I came across a Patreon. Shout out to Rory and Maul.
Who?
Patreon.
I'm joking.
Don't do that. They actually been making waves, man. Like they're staying consistent at least. You know, I can
Are they
appreciate
giving
that.
all the effort? Are they giving all the?
Well, I think they've accepted the bare minimum, and they're just gonna go from there. Right?
All right, sorry. I'm so sorry. Go ahead, continue.
So I thought something was interesting on their Patreon. Damaris, one of their co-hosts on there, it was her birthday, and they did this whole like, hey, cake, candles, freaking balloons with the big numbers and happy birthday or whatever. And she was like, oh, okay, yeah. You know, like she liked it. Like she's like, oh. But then as they sat down to actually have a conversation, she was like, yeah, because I was a little concerned with her man, like her main man, Rory, right? Think of Rory like her best friend, I guess, right? Or closest friend, one of her closest friends. And she was like, yeah, because you didn't shout me out on Instagram with the happy birthday thing. And I'm like, just to confirm, you've seen this before, Styles, right?
Yeah.
Where people are like, mostly on their stories. In the past, I think they used to do it on the feed,
The timeline. Yeah.
timeline, but that's back in the day. Now it's just stories, right? Like, hey, happy birthday, tag your friend, put up some pictures of like y'all together in the past, right? So precious. So so she's like, hey, you ain't do that for me. And he's like, hold up. I literally directly text you happy birthday. So what's up with that? Like, what do you mean? And so they had this whole conversation. So it got me thinking, and I'm like, oh snap. Should I be doing that for my friends? Like, are they expecting me? Cause let's say we rate friends, right?
Okay.
Like you have your friends that's in the top 5. Then you got your friends that's like the bottom 10. And then I think after 10 is kind of like
Acquaintances.
Acquaintances, associates, but like you got your top friends and like there's levels to them, right? Like I have certain friends where I'm like, I know this is the person I'm going to call. So I'm like, when I ask this question, I am talking about friends and family. But when we talk about friends, I'm talking about like your closest friends. What do they expect far as social media? Because this could be Instagram. You know, I still have some friends on Facebook. I don't see anybody do it anywhere else like TikTok or anything like that. But it's usually Instagram and Facebook where they give out the happy birthdays. And just to give a shout out to Facebook, because I feel like people have been like, talking down on them. I still use Facebook for birthdays. Like at least
to track them.
To track them, right? Like, because at first I didn't track them. Like now I put them in my phone because I ran into an issue. And this is kind of sparks the conversation too. I ran into an issue. And the person was like, you don't remember my birthday? I'm like, bro, you're not even on Facebook. Like your birthday's not on there. You're not on there. Like, how am I supposed to keep track of these things? So ever since I had that conversation with that person, I like started tracking it in my phone. But originally it was Facebook. So the first part of this is like, what do you think about that whole synopsis of like, hey, shout me out on the Instagram for my birthday?
It's very interesting because I feel like there's a split, and you could tell me if you feel this way too. But there's a split when they describe millennials, where I think there's a certain point where the things in the people who are the later millennials care a lot about versus the people who are in the earlier. They kind of like moved. Like for me, they moved it to 85, and that's 84 as a millennial, and I'm like, I don't care about you posting me on Instagram for my birthday. Or, like, I don't care. Like, that's not, if you send me a text or, you shoot me a message, uh, I'm fine with that because that means you thought about it. I think that a lot of times when you see people post happy birthday stuff, it's because somebody else remembered they posted something, you see it, now you're like, oh, I gotta post something too. And it become this weird thing of like, oh, let me see how much more of a friend we are. I don't know. Listen, I'm not knocking it. I just think that I much rather have you send me a text,
Mhm.
shout me a call, even if it's like, hey, bro, I know you're probably busy, but happy birthday. Leave me a voicemail. I know voicemails are like forbidden, but like
Whoa.
leave me a voicemail because all of those things in my mind means that you at least thought about it, right? And I don't really care about doing it for other people. But then that's been that we talk about social norms. That's a thing. That's like people want to do things to be seen to justify that they were doing it. Like, it's like, the statement of Pixar, it didn't happen. It's literally, it's like how people operate. So
So I'm conflicted, right? So I've never been in the belief of doing that, like posting on the social media, happy birthday. But it has happened to me, and I ain't gonna lie, I feel good. I'm like, because I'm not, and this is kind of like a two-part thing, because I'm like, one, do you even post that it's your birthday on social media? Like Facebook is different because it does it for you, but like Instagram, let's specifically say with Instagram so we can really have a conversation. Most people, unless you post it on Instagram, you won't know it's that person's birthday
yeah.
unless you're like close friends with them or
Hmm.
some type of friends with them or you remember their birthday.
Yep.
So I'm like, I'm not the type of guy to post it's my birthday. One. Two, if someone else posts, hey, happy birthday, brother, I feel a little warm. I ain't gonna lie. I'm like, oh, snap. And you know what I do? I go ahead and hit that share button and I be like, hey, everybody, look, somebody loves me.
Well,
So I do understand what you're saying about somebody's like people feeling like, hey, see, I think it's see the love that I get when it
yeah.
comes to doing that.
Yeah, no, and honestly, and we're gonna, I think, jump into a little bit more of like what the changes we see in in society as a result of social media later on. But I definitely think that the the drug that is social media is like, um you get visual affirmation of like somebody interest, whether it's likes, whether it's all of these things. I know they kind of move, like especially Instagram has moved away from likes, but I feel like that's really where we're at right now. So yeah, I see that, and I think that one of the things I try to do to not get caught up in the feeling of like, oh, somebody posting you or liking your stuff too much is that it happens and you move on, because if you get caught up into it, what happens is then you chase that. So the next year when you don't get it, be like, damn, bro, we're not good no more. Like we not friends like we used to be. Like, sound like it shouldn't be an expectation, and that's my thing.
So but I do run into an issue where because I've had some people do it for me where I'm like, yo, I have to now. Like some people might feel like, okay, that's what they did, so you don't have to do it. But I'm like, yo, if you gave me the love when it's your birthday, even though I don't normally do this, I feel like I have to do it now. And I got to find the bombest picture of us.
Yeah, I
because
mean,
because it's
do
two parts.
you
Well,
do
two parts.
you continue?
Women hate when you post pictures of you and them
And
and
they
their
don't
pitch
like it.
and they feel and they don't like it.
Yeah,
And like in your mind, you're like, yo, we look great. But they're like they always have the like that's why you gotta take like 1,000 pictures when you're like out with women.
they
It's
gotta
like,
get
bro,
they gotta get that right one, bro. That
the
right
right
look.
angle, man. They
Yeah.
gotta get their angles together, which is funny. But you know what I'm saying, as a friend, you gotta support, right? You
Mm.
gotta be that guy that's like on the ground, angling the pictures and stuff like, yo, left side, right side. All
You
right, you
gotta,
know what I'm saying?
yeah, you gotta make sure the light from the sun perfectly bounces off the moon and then lands right perfectly on their face. Yeah,
Bro, you gotta give the skin the nice glow, right?
yeah, it's
So
a job.
I'm like, okay, that leads me to is it a woman thing? Because I'm trying to think. I'm not too sure I've seen too many men give other men maybe that like if it's their like brother or something like that, but I don't see too many men like happy birthday to my guy on the do
I
you see this?
I
Do you see
think
it?
that's that's why I framed it about the millennial thing. I do think you see it more with younger people.
Okay.
Um, it's not as prevalent, I would say, like when you do the men versus women comparison. I don't think it's like a something you more expect it or see it more with women than I feel like with men. But I definitely think it's an age thing. I think that as you get and maybe one of those things where you're like, oh, you're old, whatever. But like to me at a certain point, it's like I think that the older people just like that's not something we used to do back in the day. And so now either you totally adopt the new way of doing things and you look like, the 60-year-old that's wearing skinny jeans and a
Wow.
Gucci shirt. Um but or you're like, I just, that's not a thing. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's definitely a little bit more prevalent with women, but I definitely think it's an age thing. I definitely think it's like
Mm,
a younger person thing. And not to say that older people can't do it. I just think that that's if you look at the people who are doing it, it's mostly people who are in that later millennial thing. So that's my thought on that. To me, I'm like, yeah. If you send me a text, I'm happy. If you don't send me a text, I'm happy. And I honestly, I have a group of friends that I used to like keep up with their birthdays all the time, like especially with Facebook. But then my
yeah.
Facebook got hacked, and after that, I was like, well, I don't know if you're on my phone, you're on my phone. If you're not, then I may hit you up. I may not. Some like I have accepted that like I am going to be as sporadic as I feel, and I think the people who know me well know that's what they expect, right? Like that's I'm terrible at responding to texts sometimes. So like you might tell me happy birthday, I might respond a week later. And it's no disrespect. It's just that my focus is elsewhere.
Well, to go back to the age thing, I think the Facebook thing is a older person thing because we've been doing it for so long, far as the hey, I'm gonna write on your wall happy birthday, that there's that period of time where it's like, I know I still get it like that feeling where I like go on my Facebook and I try to wait like the whole day.
What?
And then I'm like, okay, 1, 2, 3, oh, 20, 25. I'm like, yo. I mean, these are people that obviously you probably haven't talked to in a while.
hmm
But like for me, y'all gonna judge me. But for me, I'm like, if it's people that I actually bang with, I'm like, oh, okay, boom. I'm gonna make sure when it's your birthday, I'm gonna write on your wall. And like I keep track of that, right? Or at least I've been trying to do that in recent things. At first I didn't really think about it, but now I'm like, I like consciously try to give back the love that's given to me, if that makes
hmm
any sense. So I'm like, the Instagram thing might be a millennial or younger version of what we do on Facebook, far as the older crowd.
You know what? And you called that out. Yes. I think that it's like the stories thing is different. Like, because if you think about like I actually just opened up Facebook and it was like somebody's birthday, and I'm like, it's very easy to be like, oh, happy birthday. But like I think that taking a picture and putting up on your story is a little bit more of a dedication, and that should be reserved for the people that you're really close with. To me, I'm not going to do it regardless, right? Because I
Mhm.
just unless the spirit leads, right? Like I wake up in the morning and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna send this person a happy birthday thing. But I'm more like to post stuff like, yo, like this is something we did before, like as not related to your birthday. So
Mm.
I think we should we should have probably scoured the internet and found some younger people to get their opinion on this, because I wonder if it's just I wonder if it's an age thing for real.
Yeah, I definitely think that people watching, listening to this to hop into this conversation because I'm curious what like there's a couple questions. Do you expect it? If you do and it doesn't happen, does that friend go down a level? Uh
Is your friendship required? Is it a requirement of your friendship to post on social media on your
right,
birthday?
happy birthday. And is it pictures and like, people be doing like graffiti in the story and everything. And I'm like, yeah, maybe people really feel like that's the move, right? Because even when you text, I'm like, how much effort are you going to put into that text? Are you going to add emojis? Are you going to put an exclamation point here and there? Like, if someone says happy birthday to you and there's no, excuse me, and there's no explanation point,
Okay, now we're being ridiculous.
these are real things.
Nah, man. If I don't press exclamation, you're not a thing. You know what? I looking at this, and as you describe this, I feel like what this has become is literally like when you're the first person to say something in the group chat about somebody's birthday. That's what it's like. Like that first person, oh, that person is my real friend. Because everybody after that, they're just reposting it because they saw somebody else post it. And that's what I feel like this whole conversation is. It's literally just a whole, it's group text now in a visual form where everyone can see it.
So I've actually used the group text to personally text
You just say,
happy
yeah.
birthday.
Oh, so after you get the group text notification,
And I'm
you
like,
go in
oh, snap, it is their birthday. But you know what? Me and you are closer than just a group text. But then I'm in my mind, I'm like, what if the rest of the group is like, dang, he didn't even say nothing, huh?
Yeah, I know,
I guess
right?
they don't bang with each other. Now we got smoke in the group. That's how rumors start.
Man, it is so much to keep up with all of these things, man. It's like every little thing has a nuance. So it's like, what is important from all of this? Like, what should we be focusing on? I don't know. It's a hard thing. I mean, especially around birthdays. Because you don't know. Like, and we talked about this, I think, in the last one of the last episodes. And we talked about people not celebrating their birthday and not being a thing. Like, so then do you want to be the person that posts happy birthday on somebody's stories and that person doesn't celebrate birthdays? Now they're in an awkward place where you're like, oh, now now you're shouting them out, and they don't like, even they're not even happy about celebrating their birthday. It's just it's so many nuances that I'm just like, bro, I'm gonna shoot you a text.
Shoot you
Call
a
it a day.
text.
Call you,
But then some people might feel like, hey, you should be calling me.
bro.
You see what I'm saying? Like, you see how it's escalated? Because it used to be the call. Like, hey, you ain't called me on my birthday. Which I think some people still feel that way. Like, yo, I deserve more than, because of text. Especially if you just say happy B day without spelling out the birth.
Not the B.
Oh, we got issues.
Not the B. So I guess in your mind, and I guess we get personal.
Yeah.
What are the requirements for birthday celebrations? Like birthday notifications. Like, is there something that you need to do in your mind if somebody was looking at this? Is like, hey, how do I move with MVP going forward?
So 2 parts. I always got 2 parts. Because I
You
like
really always
to,
do have 2 points,
right? Because it's 2 parts to it. One, I don't really like feel any type of way if you don't say happy birthday to me, right? Like, if you forgot it or you just didn't. The original thought is, hey, that's fine. But I do start to feel some type of way if every year I say happy birthday to you and you never say happy birthday to me. Then it's like, okay, bro, you like, it's an issue now. Cause
is
I'm
it?
like, you never like, like this goes back to showing love back and forth, right? Like, if you don't do it the year after, okay. But this next year, I'm like, happy birthday. You don't do it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, okay, happy birthday. Especially if we don't talk like that.
Regularly. Well,
I think that's specifically for that. If we
yeah,
don't
I have a
talk like that.
rebuttal, but I want to hear your second thing first.
No, that was the second thing. The first
Oh,
thing was originally like just baseline. If I don't be saying happy birthday to you like that,
don't worry about it.
and you just forget it one day, or I mean, forget it 1 year, or you just don't, that's fine. I don't feel any type of way about that. But if I actually, especially if I don't like speak to you a lot, but I at least make sure to say happy birthday to you, whichever form it is, right? It could be a DM, it could be um a comment on Instagram, right? But if I've been texting you happy birthday, and I know you know my birthday, or even if you don't, you should ask me if you don't know, right? Like, there should be some level of love back, especially if we don't talk like that.
Mm,
But I'm still like, yo, I'm still, happy that you're freaking alive. Happy
yeah.
birthday. And then it's like, then I feel like, okay, maybe you feel some type of way about me because now we're in year 5 and you have yet to say happy birthday to me, and I say happy birthday to you every year. I just think that's weird.
I so I have a different approach, and I'll tell you
Okay.
exactly this is what I remember one of my friends, actually you know this friend,
Okay.
and she told me, she's like, yeah, I'm terrible at keeping in contact with people. This is a work friend. And when she left, I didn't expect to talk to her. I didn't expect to hear from her. So I actively keep up the conversation myself, right? So like every now and again I reach out to her, knowing very well if I didn't reach out to her, probably will never hear from her, right? And
Mhm.
it's not like, oh, we need to keep, I'm trying to keep the conversation. No, no, no. I literally just I accept my friends for who they are. I have, certain friends that they disappear for time, months on end. I don't hear anything from them. As long as I see them post something on Instagram, I know they're alive. That's it, right? Like, and I've kind of just accepted that certain people I talk to for a while, and then certain people disappear for a while. And I apply that same idea to birthdays. If you shout me out and say happy birthday, I appreciate it. I don't necessarily always respond to the every person's birthday because sometimes I miss it, especially if it's something not saved in my phone. If it's on Facebook, bro, like people message me on Facebook and I respond like months later because I just don't use Facebook like that. So I kind of accept people for who they are, right? And who they what to so I don't expect much from people when it comes to this. And that's a larger conversation that we may need to have because I've gotten into multiple, I won't say arguments, but disagreements with people because I tell people I don't expect anything from anyone. And they say that, oh, well, you're just, that's not the right way, especially like family and friends, you should expect stuff from. And I'm like, I don't. Maybe my clarification is not correct, or what I'm
Mhm.
how I'm framing is not correct. But I don't expect anything. That's why when I do get it, I'm appreciative. Like, if you reach out and tell me happy birthday, that means you at least, even if you, no matter where you saw it, it doesn't matter. Like, oh, you saw it on a group text and now you sent it to, you sent it to me. I appreciate you sending it, but other than that, I don't expect it.
So, is it wrong to not have the expectation, but take note?
Well, if you can't, those two things can't live together.
Let's have the conversation. What do you mean?
Because if you
Elaborate.
if you don't expect it, but you're taking note, meaning that you're paying attention to it, which vis-a-vis means that you're expecting it. In my mind, if you're going to keep a record of who's doing it, who's like messaging you for that,
Mhm.
even though you say you don't expect it, you're going to expect it because next year, when they don't do it again, then you're going to be like, that means you were expecting it from them because they didn't do it the year before.
Let me throw a jab back.
Okay.
How like how are you going to go about life not recognizing patterns?
But
Like I feel like when a pattern happens, it's hard to not recognize it.
yes, your brain naturally picks out patterns. My thing is I just, because the top level thing is like not expecting anything from anyone, um it allows me to just like, okay, cool, well that's a thing. It may pop up for a second, you maybe see it, oh, that's a thing, but I'm not putting any, emotional or brain power to that. Like,
Let me ask you another question.
okay.
It was like another jab real quick. So have you been in situation where you are always saying happy birthday? Because it sounds like you tend to not always reach out. It's kind of like give and take. So can you say you've been in a position where you've done the happy birthday? And I don't want to go into other things. Let's just keep it on the
Hmm.
birthday. You've done the happy birthday for someone every year just because you bang with them and they haven't for you. Have you ever been in that situation?
I would say definitely. Um I would definitely say that has happened. But I think that there's also been a switch for me because there was a point in my life where I was the person that was trying very hard to hold on to friendships, and some of the friendships were
Mm.
not worth being held on to. And so as a result, you ended up in a place where you were actively reaching out, you were actively keeping the conversation going. You were, and honestly, it felt like you were giving all and they were giving nothing. And I'm kind of on the flip side of that part where it's like I'll invest in the people that I care about, but even then, I don't expect them to 100% reciprocate because I don't do things with the expectation that someone will do it for me. I'm just, you align with like-minded people, and that's it. Like if they on the same path, and you know what, at some point the path may change and they may get off and they do other things, and that's fine. So that's my
Oh,
thought.
okay. So I'm not mad at that at all. So if the expectation is not there, right? I'm trying to trip you up. If
You
the
know, I can't.
I know I haven't got you yet. Damn it. All right. So if the expectation is not there, right? What is your feeling? And I'm not saying your response. I'm saying your feeling in your heart, right? When someone you did not expect, especially if you don't expect it from anybody, hits you up for your birthday. What's
ultimate
that?
appre-
What's that thought? What's that
ult-
feeling in your head?
ultimate appreciation.
Ultimate appreciation.
Appreciation, because I'm like, you went out your way regardless of how you saw it, even if it's a drop on the wall, on the Facebook wall, you sent me a message or whatever, it's appreciation.
Well, let's keep it more direct. And this is kind of why we're having the conversation because I feel
Hmm.
like Facebook is a little bit more it's a lot of people on Facebook. So
Yeah.
like a little bit more close knit group of people that you're close with or acquaintances with.
Mm.
And maybe you haven't talked to this person in a year or every so often and they never say happy birthday to you. But then that one time they say happy birthday to you, you say that your great appreciation, right? This is where I think I'm gonna trip you up.
Nope, go ahead.
With that, do you expect, I mean, not expect, but do you strive to say happy birthday the next chance you get for them?
That's a good question, because
Yes.
because
Yes.
you
Come
know
on.
what, I
Hmm.
don't necessarily make it a big thing. Like, I don't write them down on the list like, oh, let me make sure and write this person. But I do feel I do feel like if somebody random reaches out, I am more likely to reach out back to them. I don't feel like it's a requirement, um, but it's definitely something that I think I'm more likely to, if I happen to be on Facebook. I'll put it this way: if I happen to be on Facebook and I see their birthday, or I haven't, because it has to be Facebook. Because if we're not that close, we don't talk that often, and we don't necessarily have each other's birthdays like saved in a calendar somewhere. I'd have to have seen their birthday on Facebook or something like that, and I know that they sent me a happy birthday. I'm more likely to respond like, "Hey, happy birthday." But I say all that to say I'm not like going out of my way to, like, oh, as soon as this person tells me happy birthday, let me add them to the phone and make sure I hit them up.
So I anticipated that you were going to mention Facebook.
Okay.
That's why I stated direct. Like we're talking phone or text. Like phone call. Ooh, a phone call. You definitely, if it's a phone call, you're definitely making note to either text them or call them. The you
But
if you know their birthday too, if you actually know it, like just because you just know it, you're definitely gonna make that attempt that you didn't do before in the past.
the
No?
the important part of that statement is if you know it. Because
Okay.
if I don't know your birthday, I'm not going out of my way to go figure it out just because you said happy birthday.
Oh, that's where we're like bumping heads because I actually got in trouble for that. But I was like,
Really?
yeah, because this person I know
Dang.
would say happy birthday.
Hmm.
Like after year two, I was like, I mean, obviously we known each other for a while, but we kind of fell out of talking. And then we kind of started talking a little bit more again. Kind of, kind of like, just regular stuff. And they would say happy birthday. And so by year two, I'm like, yo, what's your birthday? And they was like, "Oh my god, you don't know my birthday." And I'm like, "Well, if you tell me
Then
going
I know.
forward, I will return the love." But if I had approached it like you, I probably would have saved the trouble, but then it would have continued, right? That behavior of that person hitting me up and saying happy birthday and me not saying nothing for theirs. And it might have in their soul, it might have grew some resentment that I would not have known about until like maybe we meet person. And that's the thing. There's a lot of situations where people keep it inside. And then when you meet up with them thinking it's all cool,
Yeah.
and then they blindside you. You know what I mean? So it's like you might think, and I mean that's if you care too, because you might think, oh, my friend hasn't said anything about this. And I think that's why we're having the conversation. We want other people to have the conversation because
Yeah.
your friend might not say nothing. But then you might go out one day with the group or something, and they're like, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. I know you don't bang with me. And it's like, yo, what's that? And it's like, yo, you never say happy birthday to me.
But this goes back to my statement earlier. In 2023, we need to start being very honest about how we feel. It shouldn't be like, oh, when
Mm,
you see me, it's on site, unless it's some real beef. If I know that
right.
if I see you, we're gonna freaking, it may fall into fisticuffs. That's something real. I didn't send you a happy birthday and now you feel away, you should have hit me up and said, hey, bro, we good? Like, what's going on? To me, that's how I approach it. I want to
Mm,
be as direct as possible so that I don't have uncomfortable situations with somebody because you interpreted something incorrectly. And that's it. Like, we should be we're adults now, man. Like, I get it. Like, at one point we were in high school and that was a thing. Oh, this person, they didn't want to sit with me at lunch, and now we got beef.
ooh,
But like,
straight beef.
we all got bills. We all got
Yeah.
responsibilities. We all have goals. We all have things that we're working on. Juggling a full relationship with people now is
Mm,
a job in itself. So we need to give people grace. If you don't remember my birthday, that is fine. If you remember my birthday, that is fine, and I appreciate it. And that's it. That is life. That's what I look at as how we should approach things. If it's birthdays, if it's I think it's a little bit different when you get into anniversaries and like significant others, and like
well,
there's a hard
that,
requirement for that. That's something we're
yeah.
not gonna touch. Like,
We're not gonna
put
touch
that in a
that. We gonna touch
box
it
and
another
throw that
day,
away.
but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But no, like when it comes to like friends and family, like um that's a thing. And I know like I've gotten in trouble with my family over that too, because like sometimes I'm like I remember, and sometimes I might send a message at 11:58 the night of, because I
Mhm.
just like, oh, I don't like, I didn't get to it. Like, that's a thing. So
Speaking of the night of, that used to be a thing. Like, I have to when I say I mean the group of friends I was with because we talked about this before, but sending that 11:59 text or 12 o'clock so you can be the first friend, especially if it's a group, be the first friend to say happy birthday on the actual day. Cause I'm like, yo, and we talked about this. I was like, yo, it doesn't count if you do it before 12
well, I was
because that's
talking.
kind of cheating.
Well, I was talking about the day of. So like, not not like 12
Hold up,
a.m.
hold up, 11 like at night.
Yeah, because as long as you get in before the door closes, you're in the party. Maybe I'm a terrible friend. I don't
I'm gonna
know.
have to pull you
Maybe.
to the side. I'm like, sir, I'm gonna say, sir, you just made it.
Hey,
Last call for alcohol.
I'm gonna let you know,
You
if you're
almost didn't get any.
if you're flying and you get to that gate right before they close the gate, you're still on the flight.
You're still on the flight. I
You're
like
still
that.
on the flight.
That's smooth. That's a bar. That's a bar
Yeah.
right there.
So,
You're still on the
but
flight.
we could go on about the birthday stuff. All I mean, that's clearly we've been waxing eloquently for 30 minutes on this right now. So the question really does go into like, what are the etiquettes? What's some other etiquette things that you've noticed on social media that are a thing? Like, that maybe people don't know, but like, what do you
Well,
see?
well, I'm gonna drop some things and then we can just pick one, right? So I do know, which is like basic, right? The liking, right? You don't like. any of my stuff, right? Specifically, if we want to go deeper, like accomplishment stuff, right? Like I know a friend who was like, "Hey, I think they like graduated or something like that, and or got some certificate or something like that, and they put it on social media, and the people that they expected to respond didn't respond or like it or anything like that. I've seen people who like start a business and they're like, "Hey, this is my business stuff," and nobody comments or likes it. Then we go to the sharing. Hey, are you sharing the things that I put up? And I think it's specifically like accomplishment stuff because if someone doesn't share your picture you took on the beach, I don't think that's going to be an issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I share if I put something up like, hey, you know, I'm getting into real estate and I got mad houses that I'm flipping and selling and stuff like that. And you can reach me at da 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 da. And it was like, as a friend, you're supposed to, and this is where we talk about etiquette or expectation. As a friend, you're supposed to promote that ish for me, right? Like promote a ish. Like I call it promoting, but I don't know what you want to call it. But
Mm-hmm.
then you got that part, right? We can jump into that, or you got the hey, did you just unfollow me? Hold up. How dare you? My closest, like in definitely in media, they use this a lot where like a rapper or actor or whoever it is unfollows someone that they used to follow. What's the expectation there, right? Like, what are we doing here? So my question to you is, do you want to
Well,
jump into the
oh,
likes and stuff like that, or do you want to jump into the
well,
unfollows?
I since I feel like I'm gonna have a similar opinion on the likes and on supporting and unfollow. I mean, following stuff, and I think we should
And
jump into
sharing.
the
Mhm.
sharing. Sorry, yeah, I think we should jump into the unfollow thing, and I'm all for that. That conversation will be quick, but realistically, there's two things for me.
Okay.
If I know you in person and I follow you and you don't follow me back, I'm unfollowing you. If we were cool and we had some kind of falling out and I don't want to see anything from you, I'm unfollowing you. And you can still follow me, but I'm unfollowing you. There has to be a significant issue for you to get blocked from my page. I block some people,
Okay.
but you're going to get unfollowed because I don't necessarily want to see anything from you. And that, to me, I call that protecting my peace.
So I have transformed over the years.
Okay.
All right. So my first initial like being introduced to this social media thing, to go off of what you were saying, Styles, I would unfollow you. Right. I ran into an issue where the people I unfollowed and like had some beef with or whatever, had some smoke with, we end up squashing it.
Okay.
And then you have that moment where you both are together now. And they're like, hey, go to my social media real quick and, and look at this. And I'm like, oh, your account's private. And it's like, hold up, you're not following me? And I was like, I thought I would like, I mean, lying like that. I was like, I don't know what happened. Maybe somebody hacked my account. Like, but then this moment they're like, nah, you had some beef with me, you unfollowed me. I'm like, yeah, I did. And then you gotta have a conversation, right? So as I transformed over the years, I'm like, I might get back cool with this person. So I stopped doing the unfollow. I started doing the silence all
The
their
mute, yeah.
activity. Like I'm still following you, but I don't see none of the things you post up. And that has been my go-to, right? Because it's just like I used to unfollow a lot of people. Like I'd be like, yo, I don't like the way you made my sandwich. Unfollow.
Okay, all right.
And when you get your sandwich making skills up,
Oh my
maybe you can get a
goodness.
follow back, right? And so but then there's the conversation. It's like, yo, damn, it was just over a sandwich. You don't want to have that conversation every time, because then after a while they're like, bro, you've unfollowed. We beef every 2-3 years,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So I keep the follow, and this goes to the social media norms. Like, why is it that important? Like, why do we care if I follow you on social media or not? Why do we
But
care?
I think that people equate the friendship that you have with somebody to essentially being friends on social media, which I don't necessarily see it that way. Like, we could be friends on social media and we can not be friends in real life, or we could be friends in real life and not friends on social media. Like, it goes back to my conversation of the whole expectation thing. Like, I don't I don't see a space where I have to follow you, or I have to, like, I have to. And especially, if we had some issues, like I've had that happen one time where, you know, me and this person, we had a falling out, and then they like blocked me, and then when we talked and we saw each other, I was like, yeah, you blocked me, bro. You blocked me. And they were like, nah, I didn't. I'm like, let's cut it out. You blocked me, and it's fine. It's not the end of the world. I understand why you did it at the time, and now we're in a place where we're in a better place. So
Okay, let's rate this, because I need to know. Hiding their activity so you don't see it, unfollowing them, or blocking them. What is the biggest offense? Because I feel like if you block somebody, because I never blocked anybody.
I blocked people.
What? Okay, what's the science behind blocking compared to unfollow?
So unfollowing to me means I
I'm
don't want to see your stuff. I don't want anything to do with you. Blocking, in my mind, means I also don't want to see your stuff, but I don't want you to see anything to do with me. I don't want to see your name pop up as this person's friends with this person. I don't want to see none of that. You get what's called a full court block. And in my life, for these many years, I've only had one person get the full court block. And honestly, it was deserved. I think that
okay.
it's like the punishment fits the crime. And I'm not one of these, judges who just want to give people, 100 years in jail for a speeding ticket. But if you do something egregious, if you get caught smuggling drugs across the border, you're gonna do some time. And that's how I look at it. You're gonna do some time, and honestly, you ain't got no parole. So that's it. You are in jail. But the funny thing about it is, in most cases, I think like some of the people I've actually unfollowed, we end, like your point earlier, we do end up having a conversation, and then it's like, oh, maybe that's not that big of a deal. I don't. The one person has not come back from being blocked though.
That was going to be my next question. Did that person ever come back from being
Nah,
blocked?
nah. Blocking is like, in my mind, it's like when back in the old days, you used to banish people. Like, you're banished from my life. I don't go on hither. Get away from
Go
me.
on hither. So, all right. So I just train of thought, trying to think out loud, because it's kind of our job, right? Um, if I don't, I think for me, because I don't normally block people, and I don't think I've ever blocked anybody. But for me, I think I would want to not see what you doing, but you to see what I'm doing
Why?
without you.
Why?
Because the idea, and this might be a little bit more to like when you're talking to somebody,
Mhm.
but or even if it's like really close friends and then y'all do like used to do a bunch of stuff together. And it's like, hey, I want you to see me having so much fun with all the rest of my friends without you. I can't give you that type of that type of feeling if I block you.
But here's the thing:
That's
is
petty.
is the
It's petty.
block? First of all, I think I'm the petty king. I am. Outside of 50 Cent, I ascribe to be the second pettiest person in the world. But even with that, I don't necessarily want to engage, or I don't care. Like, for example, if I unfollow you and you still follow me, I don't want you to then come back around and be like, when you see my success or you see me post something, I don't want you to be like, yo,
Mm.
my bro hit me, we good. Like,
Yeah. Okay.
what? No, no. Like, it's so funny. I actually made this record for an artist, and he had a whole. I'll probably see if I can link it in this. And it was that whole principle of like, once you're up, those same people are the first people to reach out. And
Mm.
honestly, I don't necessarily want to reach out. I don't want you. I don't want you to have access.
You don't least privilege. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want you to have access, because the thing is, once you have that access, you now become, you have, essentially, let you have the code to the house. Now I expired the code to the house, so you could come in whenever you feel like it. Versus if you're blocked, you don't got no keys, you can't get to the window. The
And
alarm goes off if you even look at the house. You can't get to me.
so I got a rebuttal to that.
Okay,
For that to be the case, you put a lot of effort into removing all that access. Two parts. One, if you put all that effort in, that must mean you care. And then two,
cared, but go ahead.
or cared. Two, with putting all that effort in, why I just I feel like it's like you said, the crime has to fit the punishment, but I've seen people block people off of something I don't think deserves the block. Like
But
the block is excessive, I think, in
no,
my mind.
but
So it really should be like, yo, you shaved my cat without my permission
what?
and then left him in the street on a rainy day.
I don't think that. See, the thing is, what is egregious to you
Mm,
may not be egregious to me.
okay.
So it's really about the person's feeling, how the person felt about whatever was done, or how they feel, how you make them feel. If you make somebody feel like, whatever, and it doesn't align with how they feel, then you might get blocked. Honestly, I, I don't even necessarily think that there's a rubric or a code book on like what this is a blockable offense. No, it's like, I think that the way this was handled, this is the result. We're all judge, jury, and executioner in when it comes to dealing with access to us. And I do not get mad at anybody who feels like something that I did made them feel upset enough to block me. I need to understand what I did. I'd like to know for myself. So if it is something that I did unintentionally, that I
Mhm.
can change it in the future. But outside of that, what am I supposed to? I can't change how you feel. Like, I could say everything the same way to you that I would say to, somebody else. And you could take it like, oh, yeah, this guy, he's giving good advice. And they could take it like, oh, he's being condescending. And then what am I supposed to do? Unless you talk to me and we can have a conversation, I don't know. So, and that's what one of the things that somebody gave me crap about, because the person I blocked, they're like, well, why did you go through all of that? Why didn't you have a conversation with them? And I'm like, because we had been past the conversation. I, it's so weird to be talking all of these like legal esque type conversation, but I do have like a 3 strike policy. Like you get,
Okay.
you give me you do 3 egregious things, and not even egregious. You do 3 things, you get crossed off. Now I do at from time as time passes, I I do reapply whether or not, or reevaluate whether or not that was actually a strike, and I may give you some parole. But outside of that, if you get 3 strikes, you go straight to jail. You don't get $200, bro.
You know what my issue is? Is giving me the 3 strikes without a proper trial.
What is the proper trial?
Due process, bro.
Due
Like
pro. It is my process. It's my due to process you to the block section. Get out of here.
I'm like, give me a chance to defend myself, Your Honor. Like,
Well,
like you said, what you think might be a strike, I didn't know it was a strike. All I know is that there's some issue. And so if and this is So I'm gonna ask you a question. I had two of them. One was
You always have two questions. Go ahead.
I don't know why I'm weird. So so for the first one is you said that person is still unblocked, but do y'all still have conversations?
Nah. Blocked. I went to the extent of deleting that person's contact, but blocking it in my phone so that they
And
can
you
never
never see
message me.
them in person, like they're not
Nah.
okay. So then, because I was gonna say, I think it might be a different situation if you actually had to be around them, right? Like, say if like you block somebody that you either work with or like say you're on sports or some type of team, you know what I'm saying? Like you still have to see them. So I don't know if a full court block is going to be appropriate
No.
in that situation if you have to see them anyway.
Well, it's funny because I think I've been blocked in those situations, and for the dumbest reasons. I thought, like, there was somebody who I guess they thought I was that like it was going somewhere between us, but I was like drunkenly like, hey, yeah, we should hang out. And then I'm like, wait, did I get blocked? This is in Snapchat days. Did I get blocked on Snapchat? And we never really had a conversation about it. But I was like, I didn't realize that that was even a thought. I wasn't like, I was like leading the person on. So yeah, who knew? But and once again, you never know how people feel about it. And the hopes is that you create and foster rapport that people feel comfortable enough to call you out and say, hey, well, this is what it was. And honestly, oh, you had a second thing. Go ahead.
Yeah. The second thing is before the block happened, did you speak about the strikes with
No,
that person?
no.
And that's the part that frustrates me when people do it to me because I'm like, yo, I think I'm a very conversation type of person because I know that you can't, like, at least for me, I don't think people can just figure out what I'm thinking and how I feel, right? I learned that growing up. So I have to express and talk more. And so I'm like, I don't think, well, I'm gonna get a little deep. Bear with me, everyone. But one, life is too short, right? For you to not have a conversation with someone you bang with. If it like, yes, it might have been a strike, but was it a strike? Did they steal from your mother? Did they,
Yeah, but
you know what I mean? Like,
those
or
are
was it
your rules though.
well,
Those are the
this
I
is the
know you'll be,
conversation. This is
but
the
I say
conversation, right?
you cannot attribute the rules um across the board. That's why, it's like that's why you have judges that interpret the law, right? Because
Mhm.
one thing may be slight might be this great offense versus this thing may not be that. The question that to respond to your thing directly
Okay.
is I didn't have a conversation with this person because they were given multiple strikes. These person got 5 strikes, which I
Mhm.
normally allow 3 because I cared about this person. I got to the point where I'm like, this person is not a good person to have in my life for X amount of reasons.
Mhm.
The person is a user. The person is, taking advantage of who I, like the generosity of my heart. They're like all of these things that I don't think qualifies this person to be even in the, like, when we use the stadium approach that I've always used. You don't This person doesn't even deserve to be on the field. They don't deserve to be on the stand. They don't deserve to be watching it on TV. So I'm gonna block them everywhere. And if you see me, know that it's like we there is nothing to talk about. It's like 50 and Ja Rule. Do you think 50 and Ja Rule ever have a conversation in real life?
No,
No,
but
exactly. So if you get applied the fit, you get to the Ja Rule level, you just get, I might buy out all the front rows of your show just so no one's there when you got to perform. I just might do that as being petty, but at the same time, I don't want to interact with you. So I
I
don't know.
get it. I get it.
I I
So
I think there's a place where if there's a potential, and this is the last thing I'm gonna say on that. If there's a potential of us having a relationship past whatever you have done at this time, then maybe you don't get blocked. Maybe you get unfollowed, and maybe we deal with it later. But I don't think that it's a requirement for you. Like, you're not required to have access to me if you've broken that you've gone past what I am willing to tolerate from a person. So
Okay. So with that being said, and because we're keeping it on the social
yeah.
norms and social media and stuff. So with social media being a thing, because I feel like, well, basically the negatives and positives, right?
Hmm.
Of even social media being a part of life. And I'm gonna start it off like this. I think there are some negatives because it does make it easier to just block someone, right?
You think that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
negative?
Well, it could be a positive, it could be a negative. I
Okay.
say I say negative because this goes back to the having the conversation thing. I think that because you keep seeing that person and you have feelings that are not positive towards them, it makes you even more sense. Just think about like if we didn't have social media and you feel some type of way about somebody, you wouldn't see them unless you went out your way to see them.
Correct.
So that might cause more of a communicate, which is crazy because social media is supposed to connect, but it would cause more of more situations to have a conversation because you wouldn't have access to that person
Yep.
unless you physically met up. But now that you have access so easy, the access is so easy that it's easier in my mind to remove the access.
But yes, I agree. I mean, I think that social media also creates a space where there's the expectation of people connecting in a certain way too, right? Like the because we can reach out. Like before, I remember I've had friends that back in the day when you like I moved from one island to another. Like I lived in the Caribbean and I moved to the United States. A lot of those friends, bro, I never spoke to again, and that was just a thing. Like if you see them again, oh cool. So it's like there's no space. There's a space now that where people think that, well, oh, because we're on social media and you can just reach out to somebody, that's a that equates the same level of genuine connection, and it doesn't. It does not. And that's to say, if you want to say that's one of the negatives, that's one thing. It's like we have more access to people, but the distance is larger, which is
Which is
weird.
crazy to
It's
me.
just really
It's so
weird.
crazy to me, yo.
Um, and then the other thing too, I would say, which going like quickly touching on the initial part that we skipped over around like the support thing. I think that people expect that support now means that you like and share and post something, and it's like, let's be real. Back in the day, and it sound like an old guy, but back in my time, the people would not support you then either. They wouldn't
True.
support you then either. They
That's
wouldn't
true.
come out to your shows if you're a musician. They like that's why for me I look at it like as someone who's orbiting this space that is mine. I have no expectations. I don't expect people to listen to my music. I don't expect people to come to my DJ shows. I don't expect people to listen to my podcast. I don't expect people to do it. I want people to do it, but I don't expect the people closest to me to do it because the weirdest thing that I've realized is the people who are closest to you a lot of times don't give you that shout out or that support until you're successful. When you're successful, then it's like, yeah, that's my boy. And I don't hold no ill will to them. But a lot of people don't necessarily see your vision. When there's a guy over in Kansas who will see, bro, I love what these guys are talking about, man. They're on the same vibe as me. And this person will like and support all your stuff. So I think that we have the ability to connect with way more people on a larger scale because of social media. But I think that if you're really as a creative, if you're going to try to go down this road, don't expect your family and your friends to support you.
So, so do you think that? I guess my thing is, what's the positive of the social media? Like, if
Well,
it's creating distance, and if people are like, even in person, they wouldn't support you, and they're not supporting you on social media. Like, what's the
The
positive
positive?
there?
The positive is that you can find your group of people, and those group of people are not limited to the location you live in. So, like to the analogy before, someone in Kansas I wouldn't be able to get to easily because I would have to book a flight, go out there, hopefully find somewhere where we overlap and then we could connect. I could connect with somebody across the world that likes what I'm doing um faster now. But so that's a positive. I think we have the ability to do way more because you can be seen in other places that you would have to physically have a foothold in. Um Now from a personal level, it really depends on what you're trying to achieve. Like if you're doing everything just for likes and, follows and all of that stuff, you're going to have a hard time at life because those things are fickle and they change and like you're gonna have a hard time in life, man. Because there's more to life than that. I think social media is a tool. It's a tool that allows you to
Mm,
do and connect and find like-minded people in a way that a book club would do, right? Like you go to the book club to read this book or these type of books, and you find people you would gel with, and you find people that you may not like. And I think that social media has opened that up, but it also has put a lot of expectations on what your friends and family should be doing. And honestly, I don't think that personally, and I'm gonna keep saying it. Honestly, the first person who really kind of got me thinking like this is Gary V. Gary V is like, yo, why are you expecting stuff from people? It's like, like you expect that you're gonna put out a piece of content, not promote it, and it's gonna blow up. Why? It doesn't
okay.
work that way, right? Like
Mhm.
it's the same thing. It's like it creates a foolish kind of thing that you think that if you put it out, people will come immediately. And I think because the bar to entry for whether it's promoting a project, promoting a podcast, promoting anything is so low, people feel like people will just find you. But like back in the day, if you were promoting like an album, I'm on my music tip today. But if you were promoting an album and you were signed to a major label, they put mad money behind you in order just so your stuff is visible so it could do sales. And honestly, we social media has made people feel like you don't have to do that because you may put something up that may be viral and then everybody sees it. But then if you don't follow it up with anything or you're not consistently posting, that virality means nothing. It's like for me, I had a post that did, I think it's 1.3 million views. And I was like, yo, whoa, what the hell? And I was like, it was not even something that I post on a regular basis. And I had nothing to do. Like, I've not been able to replicate that. That's why I'm like, I can't live my life trying to do this again. As you chase, it's like a drug. It's like they talk about it being like, when drug people who use drugs, the first hit is always the strongest. And then you chase that for the rest of the time. It's the
Mhm.
same kind
Yeah.
of principle. So I could go on about this all day, so I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you talk, and then I guess we could wrap it up shortly. But
Yeah. I would say that I do see the pros and cons of the social media. Like I like from a stance of, hey, I do have the ability to keep in contact with people that, you know, I like you said, when you were moving from islands, I moved from like schools and places, and I can still like, keep in contact with those people. That's a positive, right? I can kind of still show love, even though I might not be talking to you on the phone or stuff like that. I can still show love through social media, right? And I don't have to like go anywhere to do that. So that's a positive. The negative, I think, is the whole, like you said, like people having expectations through something that's supposed to be used as a tool.
yeah,
So, what I'm saying, I would rather you have more expectations like physically in person than, hey, I didn't like something on social media, or I didn't like follow you and unfollow you. And I'm guilty of it too. Like, because if someone unfollows me, depending on who it is, I'm like instantly thinking we got smoke or beef or right.
yeah.
And I'm like, having that train of thought off of something that's supposed to be just a tool can be an issue.
One other thing too I want to add to that is like if this was just a natural thing that didn't have any supervision or was controllable, I would be less concerned about it, right? Like, to give you the backstory, there's an algorithm constantly changing what you see and who you interact with outside of your active DMing, right? So there's actually something in the background determining whether or not you see, like I see an MVP post, even though you are my friend and somebody I interact with on a regular basis. There's something there that's blocking you from blocking me from seeing your stuff. If it was what it was back in the day, where it was like you post something, I see it,
Hmm.
and not Meta or TikTok or wherever controlling that, then I'll be like, okay, cool. This is unfiltered. I see who I see and what I'm interested in. It doesn't work that way. There's an algorithm that is set up to keep you focused on this thing longer. So we can't use that as, oh well, this is the thing we want to use as a communication point, like as a main way that we determine whether or not somebody likes or interested. Because honestly, someone can unfollow you because you post 25 pictures all the time and the only person they see is you.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've seen someone post like mad pictures in one day and do that continuously. And it's like it's just like I might even know that person, but they just posting like memes and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Or even if it's not memes, it's like 17 pictures of a tree that you saw that was interesting and you wanted to keep it on Instagram, and like you dumped it, you did a photo dump, and now I have to see that. And because maybe I've interacted with you multiple times, I'm seeing all of them. And that's why I think that's why Meta also changed it so that they could kind of control that you're not seeing all of one person's stuff. But at the same time, it's like it just, I don't know, man. It's just, it's such a weird thing. It's such a, like it's interesting because someone may come back to this episode,
Hmm.
50 years from now, and social media would be a whole different, like maybe it is our life. Maybe we do, jump into a whole, Waleed's experience, and that could be, this could seem so foreign that we're talking about it this way, but
Yeah, and
um,
everybody's an avatar.
yeah, it's
like
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 people literally don't leave their house because they're literally, on virtual reality. So the world is going to change in a lot of ways, and I'm open to it. By no means am I'm trying to stop it and slow down what we're going. I think we need to be realistic about, and I hate that word because people always use it wrong, but be realistic of what we're actually dealing with. So
well, in conclusion, to sum it up, I would say, hey, give your friends shout outs for their
no,
birthday on Instagram or get a whole lot of smoke from them.
or just don't expect it at all and be happy when they do. That's my thought, and
There we
that's
go.
it. As usual, if you made it this far, you're the real MVP. Uh, Thank you. See y'all next time. It's been Juxtaposed.